Imagine a 14-year-old calling up 911 and saying, I just killed my parents. That's exactly what happened in this case.
Just after midnight this morning, our 911 communications center received a call from a young man who stated he had just killed his parents.
Y'all listen to you. Well, I was ask if you could pray for me. But I'll definitely be praying for you, son.
He stated that deputies could find his parents at the house and that he had walked just over a mile away to a church and he would await for deputies to arrive to take him into custody. Deputies responded immediately to both locations, the church and then to a home out here in the Middleburg area. They found two deceased individuals inside, David Lee, 44 years of age, and Brandi Smith, 45 years of age.
It's a matter of opinion. If I'm right, I'm leaving no for now to go outside, putting shores and obligations on our part.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Matter of Opinion. I'm your boy, WallzP.
And I'm your girl, Erica. Today, we're breaking down the shocking case of a 14-year-old Trevor Lee accused of killing his parents, David Lee and Brandi Smith Lee.
Now, before we get started, let's be clear. Everything we're about to say is all alleged.
Back in early August, Trevor Lee called 911 himself after allegedly shooting his parents inside their home. What stunned people was how calm he sounded.
Exactly. He admitted it like it was nothing. And the community left asking what could have pushed a 14-year-old to do this.
It appears that there was some sort of domestic argument last night between Trevor Lee and his parents, and that this shooting culminated from that argument.
Y'all listen to you. Well, I was going to ask if you could pray for me, ma'am. Right now, I'll definitely be praying for you, son.
His words on that 911 call paint a heartbreaking picture of what happened next. This is where deputies say 14-year-old Trevor Lee waited after shooting his parents in their Middleburg home. He called 911 from Cross Point Church, about a mile away, and asked dispatchers for help and for prayer.
I'm gonna pray first. I need to pray. You need to pray? Yes, ma'am. I'm by the road. I threw my backpack away from me. I'm stripped. I'm waiting for police. What do you mean you're stripped? I have nothing in my pocket. I emptied my pockets and everything.
Sheriff's Office, recorded line. How can I help you?
Hello, please. I need you some help.
In another 911 call, a caller from out of state tried to understand what could have happened.
I'm out of state. I'm in the military. I don't know what goes on. But they just had a good day. They went to the movies, bro. They went to the movies.
The sheriff says the shooting appears to have stemmed from an argument Sunday night. Deputies are now looking into Trevor's mental health and school history. He's charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder.
Do you pray?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. I'll listen to you. Well, I was going to ask if you could pray for me, ma'am. Right now, I'll definitely be praying for you, son.
Neighbors described David and Brandi as loving, church-going people. Nobody saw this coming.
And what makes it even harder to process, from the outside, they look like a strong family, but clearly something was going on behind closed doors.
Kyrie Beeman says he was at this house nearly every week and considered the Lee family as his own. He says he and Trevor played football together, and just this past Friday, Trevor and his dad, David Lee, gave him a ride to and from practice. And now Kyrie is still trying to separate the friend he grew up with from the crime he's accused of.
I just didn't think it was real.
Kyrie Beeman, now standing outside of a home he once considered a second home, still trying to process the unthinkable.
He was funny, charismatic. He always brought good energy, good vibes, and he was probably one of the best people I knew.
Kyrie says he and Trevor had been friends since elementary school, and they spoke on the phone just after midnight.
He told me that he loved me, and he told me that he was just calling to tell me good night.
Now Kyrie is asking the community not to judge his friend by this one moment alone.
Good kid, straight A student. I don't know what caused him to do it. So
Brandi's cousin, James Lewis, still can't believe it.
I guess I never know what caused him to do that, because, like I say, he had good parents. So for him to, do that, No, we don't know why.
He says the family seemed close and always got along.
They were probably the best or one of the best families I knew. They were funny, and they treated me very well. They told me all the time that they loved me like a son.
For it to get to that point to where you feel like that was the only option he had is the saddest thing that you could possibly think of, for sure. Especially I related to my own daughter. My daughter's 13, so to see that is terrifying, mortifying, all the adjectives you could use.
Fast forward to just last week. Trevor Lee stood before a judge and entered his plea not guilty.
Now let that sink in. After confessing on a 911 call, he's now fighting the charges in court.
Now Trevor has entered pleas to 2 counts of first-degree murder. Before we jump into the case, let's watch exactly how this arraignment unfolded in court on Tuesday.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mark Wright and Mary Hickson on behalf of Trevor Lee. We understand that there has been a 2-count indictment. We do acknowledge that, but we are going to enter pleas of not guilty and request a pretrial date. I would also ask the court to consider waiving Mr. Lee's appearance for future pretrials, with the understanding that the court needs his presence. That we would have no objection to that.
Sure. Your Honor, based on the indictment date, speedy trial would run February 10th of next year, and because of the indictment, the guidelines do not apply. The state also filed 2 motions to compel, one for DNA and one for fingerprints. Those have been discussed with the public defender's office. I don't believe they have an objection.
No legal objection to that, Your Honor.
All right, then I'll enter order to compel Mr. Lee's DNA and fingerprints. Mr. Lee, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Wright has indicated that in the future he may want to waive your appearance at certain court dates. That's up to him to decide. You should consider his advice. Both Mr. Wright and Ms. Hickson are very experienced lawyers. You have a right to get all your court appearances you want. So if you decide you'd rather come one day when they ask you, just let them know. They'll have you brought over to you. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You'll agree to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, then we'll pass this court date for pre-trial until September 30th at 9 o'clock.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Same? Yes, Your Honor, that's a good one to see. September 30th at 9 a.m. will be a pre-trial. And Your Honor, Detective Holmes is here to get the DNA and fingerprints if that's agreeable with the court. Sure. Thank you. All right, Mr. Lee. I'll see you in September. I'll see you then if you want to waive that appearance. Just let Mr. Wright know. Thanks, sir.
This is where it gets complicated. The defense could argue about his age, mental health, or even challenge whether that confession is admissible in trial.
Exactly. And since he's only 14, there's the big question. Should he be tried as an adult?
The community is divided. Some say he confessed, lock him up for life. Others argue he's still a child. Maybe he can be rehabilitated.
But here's the reality. 2 lives are gone. But where do you balance accountability with the fact that he's still a kid?
We don't know what was going on in the home. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. So from what the friends are saying, these teenage friends, they didn't see any red flags, or at least they're not saying that they did right now.
Correct. But as you correctly said, you don't know what goes on behind those closed doors. The family that seems perfect from the outside can be far less once you're inside the home. This was at midnight, though. The tensions were heated. There was a bad fight, and somehow he got access to a gun and started shooting, and then reported on himself. He called 911, went to the church, and was arrested. But now this is a tragedy all around, and it's going to drip out the details in the next few weeks, and we'll learn more and more. But even if there were problems at home, it never justifies taking law in your own hands and shooting to death your parents. I mean, even the Menendez brothers, who alleged there was sexual abuse in the home, they would have still been convicted of a crime. It would have been manslaughter, perhaps, and not murder. So we're not talking about, even if there was a bad situation at home, that this would be still an exoneration. This would be a get out of jail free card. No, you still have to face the consequences of your actions. And unless there's self-defense here, and there's no evidence that the parents grabbed the gun and was trying to kill the son, so self-defense would not seem to be a defense here, this kid's going away for a long time.
So if you are the defense attorney, I assume you're thinking to yourself, I got to get the discovery, of course. Of course, you got to go through all that. You've got to listen to the 911 call. You've got to look at any post-Miranda interviews he gave or any statements he made on the body camera footage. We still don't have that footage either. It's not being released at this point in time. I'm assuming you're like, I got to get this kid evaluated mental health wise. We need a mental health evaluation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a natural part of it. That's part of the frustrating part about first-degree murder cases is that you have an endless supply of medical experts, and especially with a juvenile, you're going to slow this thing down. This thing is not going to be disposed of anytime soon. There's going to be a lot of battle of experts. They're going to try to perhaps use a diminished capacity defense to try to at least lessen the charge, to try to perhaps, if it goes to trial and there's no plea, maybe they could get sympathetic jurors who say, I don't want this poor kid. Look at him. He looks like a child, although this kid's going to be different because he's so big. That they may do jury nullification. That could be a hope for the defense. You know, the Nicholas Cruz case, and that's the last time I'll mention that guy's name on your program, but he was the mass murderer in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the one that killed 17 innocents. And he escaped the death penalty, even though he was eligible for it, because his lawyers dressed him up in this soft sweater with these oversized glasses. They made him look like a child. And I suspect they'll try to do the same thing for this defendant, but it's tougher because this guy is so big for his age that it's going to be tougher to make him look like an infant.
So you don't see trial happening in February. It's currently scheduled for February.
I do not. These things get delayed. Now, unless the defense wants to push speedy, if they want to push a speedy trial, they can get it done early. But it's usually to the benefit of the defense that these things slow down. Memories fade, the passions of the community cools, witnesses perhaps become unavailable, evidence spoils. There's just a lot of benefits to a delayed trial, and I think that's in the cards here. Plus, it gives more time for the defense to try to work out a deal with prosecutors. I think they're going to try to get a plea bargain out of this. It'll be up to the prosecution to decide whether they want to let this guy out of prison before he dies. I don't know what the result's going to be because we don't know all the details in this case yet.
The community is divided. Some say he confessed, lock him up for life. Others argue he's still a child. Maybe he can be rehabilitated.
But here's the reality, though. 2 lives are gone. So where do you balance accountability with the fact he's just a kid? Now, I'm going to be real with you. That not guilty plea sounds like a slap in the face to the victims.
I hear you, but legally, it may be his only chance at avoiding the harshest sentence. Ultimately, a jury has to decide.
But this also raises another issue. Parents can't ignore warning signs. Kids today face a lot of pressure that they never had, and sometimes those pressures explode in dangerous ways.
But it's not just about Trevor. It's about the justice system, too. Does putting a 14-year-old in an adult prison fix anything? Or does it create a hardened criminal?
That's a very good point, but you can't take the emotions out. 2 lives are gone. But at the same time, this is a child who made a choice he can't undo. If you ask my honest opinion about it, a 14-year-old don't just wake up and say, I'm going to unalive my parents. Something had to be building up. There had to be something there. As parents, we do tend to neglect our child's feelings when it comes to disciplinary action. There's times that we'll speak to them, have a question in mind that we already know the answer to, or we assume we already know the answer to, and don't even want to hear what the child has to say. That could probably make a child feel isolated and feel like they have nowhere to turn to. And if it builds up and keep building, they can feel like they no longer have a safe space. Think of it like this. If you're at a job, whenever a problem arises, your boss never want to hear what you got to say. Every time you attempt to explain yourself, your boss cuts you off. That's going to kind of make you feel some type of way. I know it'll make me feel some type of way. So now pass that on to a 14-year-old child who's going through adolescence, going through whatever it is in school, whether it's bullying, bad grade, on top of his adolescence and him not having control on his emotions, and plus his brain not being fully developed, that can be a lot on the child. And sometimes we tend to neglect that and forget, hey, he's a child. We do kind of have to handle this with kid gloves. So if that child feel isolated and has nowhere to turn to, because when he spoke to 911 or his sister, it was either one of the two. His words was, I had to do this to get out of this nightmare. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along those lines.
For it to get to that point to where he feel like that was the only option he had is the saddest thing that you could possibly think of.
He felt he had to get out of this situation. And it's reported that an argument sparked it that night. And later on, that's when he found his mother's gun and unalived them. If you're a gun owner, put your gun in a safe box where your kids don't have access to it, because that could be more tempting to them to feel, hey, this is how I need to handle it. And once that child get tunnel vision, it's probably no stopping them because they're easily influenced. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are we as parents need to do better trying to listen to our children. It is easy to discipline if you're from that era of know your place as a kid, don't talk out of turn. It's getting to the point now where these are not the same circumstances that we grew up in. So we have to do better by listening to our kids to figure out what really is going on with them. 2, I know by talking to gun owners that it is easy to have their guns accessible for them in the event there is a home break-in or things on that nature. But you have to practice gun safety. You have to know where your weapon is at all times, 1. 2, if you have children in the house, that means you need to be more vigilant on where you're storing your item. It is easy for someone to have a lockbox in their nightstand to keep their weapon safe enough from their child and close enough to them in the event that they need to use it.
The last thing that I want to speak about is what the sister said when she spoke to law enforcement. She said he's not a bad kid. Even his friends and stuff were saying he's not a bad kid. That's not something that somebody would say when they found out that their parents was unalived. That tells me that there was something more there, because if my brother unalived my parents, I'm going to be like, yo, what the heck happened? This isn't like them, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. I would have a different tone. I wouldn't be saying he's not a bad person. So there got to be something there. What that something is, I don't know, but we'll find out more. And as far as like friends saying, hey, we never saw that side of them. The family seemed to be a good family. How many times have we been out in public with our kids or whatever, and we say, don't embarrass me in public? So there's a lot of things that family hides from the public eye, or have that facade just to not be embarrassed. So that I can understand why the friends and everything never saw that coming, and everything seemed all good hunky-dory when it came to the family. Everything right now is all preliminary, but as the trial go on, more facts will come out and we'll get to the bottom of this. But this is where we want to hear from you guys. Should Trevor Lee be tried as an adult, or should his age change how we view his punishment?
If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss updates like this.
And don't forget to smash that like button and share the video with your friends. This is Matter of Opinion, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.
It's a matter of opinion.